Alrighty, week 13 is upon us, right? So I'm just kind of taking a moment here to think about week 12 because I get it. And I read some of your submission to attendance, and I read and looked at the folks who did submit your Dev 1s. And I guess what I want you to know is that I get that it is work. And I sense, and I could be wrong, because I know how many of you started last week because I've met with you. And for those who start sooner, their output is better. I mean, there's just no other way to say it. And so if you didn't start sooner and you were frustrated and saying how much of a challenge it was to meet the deadline last night, I totally understand why. I couldn't do that. With coding, I need to give myself enough time to have, right, to figure out the problems, reach out for help when I can, because here's the other reality about this is that your schedule and my schedule are probably not going to line up. When you're working on it, I'm probably asleep or offline. So I've tried to set up this course to encourage students to work ahead, and I'm not trying to, because I get it, right? I am the same way. I need a deadline in my life sometimes to get big things done. So, but if I wait till the last minute to get things done, it's going to create a tremendous amount of stress. And sometimes our lives are such that, there's just no other way around it for whatever reason. But I think there is, and again, I appreciate you can definitely give me some feedback here on that. It's like, because I know there's a number of you who did start early. And I know that a number of you, based on your submission and your attendance post, did not start early. So the level of frustration, I think, can be directly correlated to trying to do it at the last minute. But even those who started early had some frustration, no doubt about it. And part of what I hope you learn here is troubleshooting skills, is learning how to troubleshoot your code. By the way, this is why I hammer on DevTools, because DevTools is one of the best ways to see what's actually happening in your code and help you troubleshoot it. So yeah. So anyway, if you have any feedback you want to give me about, what you think I could have done differently, what you think you could have done differently, knowing that, 50% of this class is actually creating something, and I understand what a leap that is. I've also seen enough. The reason I'm convinced about the importance of this part of our class is that it's when as students reflect back, and I have a couple who have taken, not right now, but in my other class, who have taken this class and taken other programming classes, they tell me, even though it was really hard, this part, it was also the part they learned the most from. So, it's like anything, big things take big time sometimes, depending on your skill level. So that's my comments about that. And again, I'm open to feedback here, how you think I could do it differently. But I know that I see the ones who I didn't get to see this week, I see you, I think, on my schedule for next week. So there still is some openings to next week as far as the code review. Remember, you have until, depending on when you watch this, you have until next Thursday during week 13. So it'd be week 12 at the end of my office hours to do your code reviews. But again, I think most of you got on there. So this week, moving now kind of forward, right? And I am not going to preview Dev 2 right now. I'm going to save that for next week, meaning more of the requirements, because I think in order to really kind of grasp some of the concepts of what I'm going to require for Dev 2, the last Dev for this class, we need a little more exposure to first function constructors, and we get that this week, right? So on your Learn Together for week 13, I throw down a challenge once you've covered the beginnings of function constructors, which ultimately end up being what we call classes in traditional programming. And he demonstrates later in the course, and I believe in this section or the next, actually how to use classes to substantiate objects. So this beginning part is kind of like, it's not the older way, but it's the way typically in JavaScript we have done classes with these function constructors. But ultimately, JavaScript got updated to allow the class implementation, which was partly for people coming, so programmers, coders coming from other languages, to have that paradigm of thinking about creating objects and methods and inheritance and encapsulation. Now, we're not going to cover those topics here, but ultimately, that's what we're talking about. So what I've done here is in week 13, I've given you access. You can look at what my code is. But again, I'm going to challenge you, right? Don't look at my code until you've attempted this. And again, this is where that learning comes, right? So now that you have an idea of a function constructor, attempt to do a simple ordering system using this new paradigm, this new way of coding or creating objects. Because we've done object literals, meaning we just stamped out, we just did the structure of an object literal. We did update it through methods and all those, but this is a new way, kind of like that, but in a new way, giving us new functionality. So attempt to write the ordering system. And again, I go over this in the video, but I just want to tell you, I have, unlike last time, I did provide you the link here, but attempt it on your own. Once you get something working, then look at mine, right? Or if you feel like it's too big of a jump, right? At least attempt it, because that's really where, kind of coming back to my other comments, that's really where you figure out how well you're translating the concepts off the Udemy into actual skill, okay? And if the only thing you do is kind of pay attention basically briefly to the code alongs, but don't take it to the next step, you don't really get to integrate that knowledge. And that's what I've been trying to do here with the learn togethers, right? That's my goal, is to actually have us take the concepts that you're learning and give you another level of experience with that. So you get that again next week. Okay, so I think that's all I have to say about that. Hopefully, and I know a couple of you did have understood my now new incentive to do attendance. And what I'm going to look for in your reply is replies that actually hit upon, reply to the concepts that I'm covering. Like today, I've covered the idea of the Dev 1, right? My philosophy about why, right? I do them also about what happens if you wait and the stress that can induce, and any feedback that you want to give me about that. And did your process work? Also the idea of troubleshooting, learning to troubleshoot your own code dev tools. Like, these are important concepts. And then I went over week 13. So what I would want to see in your reply is touching on the thing that kind of touched you, right? Like, touched you in the sense of, you were like, okay, I want to say something regarding this concept that Rio covered. Okay, that's what I'll look for in your reply. To get credit for attendance, and therefore to, get the additional incentive for items that you're submitting late. If you don't know about that, that might be something in the reply that you ask about. By the way, I covered it in week 11, and then I think I covered it a little bit in week 12. So, but we are heading into the last stretch of this class. I know it's a lot. I look forward to connecting with you who I haven't seen yet next week, and any of you on an ongoing basis in my office hours, or whatever time we can work out. All right, peace out. Have a great Friday.